2. Definitions of politics, a multidisciplinary perspective. Politics is one of the most enduring and contested concepts in the study of human society. From the earliest philosophical reflections in ancient Greece to the sophisticated theories of modern political science, definitions of politics have continually evolved in response to shifting social realities, intellectual traditions, and methodological innovations. Because politics touches every dimension of human existence, whether at the level of family, community, state, or global system, it resists confinement to a single, universally accepted definition. Instead, politics is best understood as a multidimensional and multidisciplinary field of inquiry that brings together philosophy, sociology, economics, history, and cultural studies. This section outlines some of the most significant definitions of politics, beginning with the classical interpretations of Plato and Aristotle, moving through modern conceptualizations offered by thinkers like Lasswell, Easton, and Weber, and finally addressing broader interpretations that expand politics beyond the state into arenas of identity, culture, and everyday life. 2.1 Classical definitions. Aristotle politics as the highest form of association. Aristotle, writing in the 4th century BCE, offered one of the most enduring definitions of politics. In his treatise Politics, he argued that human beings are inherently political animals, zoon politikon. For Aristotle, politics was not merely about governance or power struggles. It was about the realization of the good life, eudaimonia. He saw the polis city-state as the highest form of human association, because it enabled citizens to deliberate collectively on justice, virtue, and the common good. Aristotle's politics was therefore teleological. It had a purpose. Just as an acorn aims to become an oak tree, so too does human life aim toward flourishing. The polis was the setting, where individuals could achieve this end by cultivating virtue, engaging in deliberation, and participating in collective decision-making. Importantly, Aristotle did not see politics as merely instrumental, such as a means to secure order, but as intrinsic to human nature itself. Plato politics as the pursuit of justice. Plato, Aristotle's teacher, also viewed politics as inseparable from morality and philosophy. In the Republic, he envisioned an ideal society, governed by philosopher kings, wise rulers, who could transcend personal desires and govern based on reason and justice. For Plato, justice was the organizing principle of political life. A just city ensured that each individual fulfilled their proper role in harmony with others. Plato distrusted popular democracy, which he believed led to instability, and the rule of unqualified leaders swayed by passion and rhetoric. Instead, he advocated for a hierarchical political structure led by those most capable of perceiving the eternal forms of truth and justice. This conception made politics the domain of the wise, distinct from ordinary citizens, and placed moral philosophy at its core. Legacy of classical thought. The classical definitions set a foundation that continues to influence contemporary debates. By framing politics as a quest for justice and the good life, Plato and Aristotle highlighted the normative dimension of political activity. Their focus on virtue, deliberation, and the moral responsibilities of rulers underscores that politics is not simply a mechanism of control, but also a sphere of ethical aspiration. Even today, democratic theorists draw on Aristotle's emphasis on participation, while debates about technocracy versus democracy echo Plato's vision of philosopher kings. 2.2 Modern definitions. The rise of the modern state, the spread of democracy, and the emergence of political science as a discipline in the 19th and 20th centuries transformed the way politics was defined. Whereas the ancients viewed politics through a normative and philosophical lens, modern thinkers shifted toward more empirical, analytical, and descriptive approaches. They sought to uncover the mechanics of power, authority, and distribution rather than to prescribe ideal forms of government. Harold Lasswell, Politics as Distribution. In 1936, American political scientist Harold Lasswell famously defined politics as who gets what, when, and how. This definition captured the distributive nature of politics, focusing on how scarce resources such as wealth, status, and opportunities are allocated in society. For Lasswell, politics was not just about elections or formal government, but about all processes through which resources are contested and distributed. Lasswell's definition highlighted three dimensions: who the actors, whether individuals, groups, or institutions, competing for resources; what the resources themselves, ranging from material goods to symbolic recognition; when and how the processes, timing, and mechanisms through which these resources are distributed. This pragmatic and distributional view emphasized conflict, bargaining, and negotiation as central features of political life. It also widened the scope of political inquiry to include informal and everyday struggles for influence. David Easton politics as the allocation of values. David Easton, another influential American political scientist, offered a systemic definition in the mid-20th century. He described politics as the authoritative allocation of values for a society. Here, politics was not simply about competition, but about how political systems make binding decisions regarding societal priorities. Easton's approach introduced a systemic model of politics inputs, demands, and support flow into the political system, which processes them into authoritative decisions outputs, generating feedback that influences future inputs. Authority distinguished political decisions from other types of allocation, ensuring that outcomes carried legitimacy and enforceability. This systemic view allowed scholars to analyze politics not only in terms of actors and events, but also as a dynamic process of decision-making and feedback. It reflected the mid-20th century interest in stability, order, and the survival of political systems during times of rapid change. Max Weber, Politics as Power and the State. German sociologist Max Weber offered yet another influential definition, centering on the relationship between politics and power. For Weber, politics meant striving to share or wield power, particularly within the framework of the state. His analysis famously defined the state as the entity that successfully claims a monopoly on the legitimate use of physical force within a given territory. Weber's definition highlighted two critical aspects of modern politics: power, the ability to influence or control others, whether through coercion, persuasion, or authority; legitimacy, the necessity that political power be justified and accepted, whether through tradition, charisma, or rational legal authority. By focusing on power and legitimacy, Weber provided a conceptual foundation for modern political sociology. His insights remain central to debates about state authority, sovereignty, and the balance between coercion and consent. Implications of modern definitions. These modern perspectives shifted the study of politics, from moral philosophy to social science. Lasswell, Easton, and Weber emphasized observable processes such as power struggles, systemic stability, and resource distribution. While they moved away from ethical ideals, they provided analytical tools that made political science a more empirical and comparative discipline. Their approaches allowed politics to be studied scientifically, with hypotheses, models, and case studies, making the discipline more rigorous and policy relevant.